Sony PlayStation CEO reveals 10 PlayStation gaming IPs that could potentially be movies or TV shows. We're going to talk about it right here on the podcast. Joining me is my very best friend in the world, Mr. Cedric Roney.
What's up, world? How y'all doing out there?
Yeah, so we about to get it in right here for you people because Platform Gamer Podcast starts right now. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me here on the podcast. It is January 1st, 2021. And we
Happy
have
New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody out there. Absolutely. I hope y'all had a great Christmas and, just happy holidays all in general. 2020 is now in the rear view. Let's continue to look forward and hopefully things will get better. Make sure you guys, if you like what you will hear today and even want to check out more of what we have here on the podcast, make sure you go on our YouTube channel here at Platform Gamer Podcast. Make sure you drop that like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell for our notifications because we love it when you guys do that. And please leave us a comment because we love comments here on Platform Gamer Podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Platform Gamer P1. And you can also reach us on Facebook at Platform Gamer Podcast, where we usually post our anything that's new and information that's happening within the gaming world. We haven't had a chance to do it yet because we've been so busy, but that, it is what it is. But also, if you don't get a chance to see us in video form and you prefer the audio versions, whether you're doing something around the house or anything like that, and you just want to listen to the podcast, you can go into the search engine at Podbean and Spotify, search up Platform Gamer Podcast, and you will find all of our past episodes there as well. So we're going to jump right into this thing. But before we do, Mr. Cedric Roney, thank you so much for joining me here on the podcast today, good sir.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for having me. No DeMar tonight?
No, I tried to get in contact with him, but I think he's working.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, I'll try to hold it down for him, man. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, like you said, about the end of 2020 and going into a new year. Hopefully the worst is behind us. So we'll keep my fingers crossed for that because 2020.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things, man, where I don't know. I had this overwhelming sense of dread earlier, thinking that, I think the start of 2021 is probably gonna, continue from what was left over from 2020. But as we progress on, things will get better. That's kind of how I feel about it right now. I'm kind of optimistic. So let's go ahead and jump right into this thing right now. So PlayStation, Sony has decided that they are going into the movie and television business. Oh, I lost Cedric. But PlayStation and Sony, or Sony PlayStation, is working on 10 potential films and TV shows. Now, 7 of those will be TV shows, and the other 3 will be movies. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm back.
Lost you for a second there. Yep. It's all good. But anyway, I was just starting to explain that Sony PlayStation has 7 TV shows and 3 movies in the works, and this comes from their CEO over at Sony Pictures. Now, this is some of the things of what they said. And this is it's pretty cool stuff. So they have decided that that they are going to be working on 3 movies. Now, one of them is in the works right now, as you guys already know, which is Uncharted. So that is one. In fact, I believe they're going to be wrapping up very soon if they haven't already. And then, of course, they are working on a Last of Us television series, which will be on HBO. Now, I don't know if it'll be on anything else other than like HBO. I'm sure it'll probably show up on HBO Max more than likely. But those are two potentials, one of them being a movie, the other one a TV show. And another TV show that I found out today that they're looking at potentially trying to do is Twisted Metal. So that one will be really interesting. Yeah, so with that out of the way, they say this is something that Sony has been doing, or at least has been planning and putting together since last year. So they're really kind of starting to get the ball rolling here into trying to create these films. Now, what is the positives of this? Well, number one, hopefully this will break the video game movie curse that has plagued the industry for so long. Definitely. I mean, we've had our gems here and there, you know. So that's one major thing. Number two, with it being under Sony PlayStation's own umbrella as far as their gaming IP movies go, I mean, think of the situation with Marvel. Marvel had their movies done by every other, group. 20th Century Fox, has played a big hand in a lot of the Marvel movies, but they haven't really been owned by Marvel. They've just had their name licensed on it. So those production companies create those movies, and now that Marvel has had their own studio and it's been going, you've seen the end result with all of the Marvel, the 20 plus Marvel movies that have come out, and they've all just been rocking it out. So I see this as a positive step for Sony and PlayStation, with them keeping it in-house, producing their own movies, and we may get what I like to call the Marvel effect, where they could potentially turn this around and make gaming movies and TV shows an absolute possibility. Cedric, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that it's a good thing with Sony making all of the material. It should be far more cohesive, and it should take the source material more seriously. Because like we were talking about, right before the show, I think that one of the problems with video game media, be it movies or TV shows, I think that one of the problems with why we have a problem with getting consistently good shows and movies is that they don't take the source material too serious. They, it'd be over the top, it'd be too cartoony, it'd be too video gamey, instead of just trying to make it take the source material and turn it into a good movie. They try to almost make the movie like it's a video game, but right. I think with Sony making all of the material, we should get more cohesive products, just all around. And you said the Twisted Metal, they were thinking about making a show out of that?
Yeah,
or a movie?
It's a TV show. They were looking at turning that into a TV show.
Man, I used to love Twisted Metal. The game.
Oh man, I love Twisted Metal. Just to see Sweet Tooth on the small screen, that'll be awesome.
Right. Yeah, I think that'd be a good IP to make into a show. With The Last of Us, I just hope that they steer clear of trying to make it like The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
and somehow put their own spin on the horror, on the zombie genre. Lately, you've kind of seen different movies and different shows try to do something different with the zombies, whether it be, like from back in the day when they used to walk slow, and then bringing it up until the modern times where they started moving faster. And before it was, the undead, and then again, bring it up into modern times where they, switched it to being more like a virus and things like that. I just hope they try to put their own spin on it and not try to make it, like The Walking Dead.
See, this is one thing that I absolutely agree with you on. I think they should definitely keep it interesting, keep it, different, and not keep it outside the norm. I think with this helping, Neil Druckmann, who did the Last of Us games, both 1 and 2, is at the helm of this thing. So we can already expect quality from him. And then you've got the writer and director who did the television series Chernobyl, which was also on HBO, which has received tons of praise. So I think with this 1-2 punch, I think this is really going to start steering it in the right direction. We still have yet to know a whole lot of the details, whether it's going to revolve around Joel and Ellie's story, or is it just going to be something kind of outside and maybe bring them in kind of as like a cameo possibly. I'm not quite sure what direction they're going to go with that, but it should be really, really interesting.
I think so too. And The Last of Us story just on its own was great. I don't know if you played through the game, but yeah, it had a great storyline. So if they, hit some of the beats in the storyline, and like you said, that developer, the person that developed the game, being involved with the story. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen Chernobyl, but you said that it was getting good reviews and everything. So that's great to have somebody that was either writer.
Yeah.
That's great to have him, the writer of that, working on The Last of Us. But the storyline by itself is just great. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
And another plus with that too, that with The Last of Us being a TV show, is the fact that The Last of Us in itself is very grounded. Like you play it through the game, but it's very grounded. So it's easier to produce something like that versus something like just to kind of go out there. Something like a Call of Duty, like a like a Black Ops 3 or something like that. Having them run around, jumping, and doing all this crazy stuff. But The Last of Us puts you kind of in that apocalyptic realism for those characters to go through the turmoil and the trials and tribulations. And the thing that I love about The Last of Us is that it's not always happy endings. And I think that's going to resonate very well within the TV show, especially creating cliffhangers, creating, that sense of dread, but still keeping you so engaged that you want to see what happens to these characters at the end.
I agree. And, both of us always liked it when it's not all in movies and in shows where the good guy doesn't always get the girl, or he doesn't always save the day. Yeah. And you're right. The Last of Us, it's just people trying to survive, and some people die in the story, and some things don't turn out the way that, you may want it to. And I think that could translate into great storytelling, especially if you add the emotional beats that was in that they included in the game. If you add that and focus on emotion, and like you said, keeping it grounded, and focus just on the story and developing the characters, I think is going to be great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think too, what will help this show is the fact that it's on HBO. So they kind of have a lot of free reign to kind of be able to do what they want. Whereas if it was on something like CBS or NBC or something like that, they would feel constricted. They would feel, very limited to what they can do and what type of boundaries they can hit on versus, having that free reign on HBO or something like that. Now, some of the streaming services, could get away with some of that too. I know CBS All Access has some shows where they kind of get pretty dark, and I've heard some F-bombs dropped, especially in Star Trek. I don't know why, but you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, you can find avenues out there, but I think with it being on HBO, I think will really, really help the show.
Yep, I think so too. And also you can have those longer shows. Like you said, you can get more graphic material. You can get into more adult material. You got less restrictions, and usually, you're looking at about 45 minutes to an hour long runtime, which is great.
Yeah, and the seasons don't even have to be long. They could be, you could probably do like 9-10 episodes and create, just continue to move on with the story that way. I think just giving a little versus giving a lot really could speak volumes about the show. And the fact too that it's a TV show versus a movie, now you have more time to let the story and let the characters breathe. And I
Right.
think that's a huge plus going in that direction
Absolutely.
for this.
Another thing too about having it on HBO as opposed to network television is the production value should be really high as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And then, shifting gears too, let's take a look at Uncharted. Now, we know Uncharted has been in the works for a while. They've got Tom Holland, who will play the younger version of Nathan Drake. And then, of course, we have Mark Wahlberg, who's stepping in as a younger version of Sully. Now, this is a very interesting dynamic because I actually never pictured Mark Wahlberg to be in this role, nor Tom Holland. But when you look at the still pics of what they were able to show online of Tom Holland, he looks pretty good. And Tom Holland is a very, very talented actor. And I think he can bring an interesting dynamic. And he's got Nolan North, who does the voice for, Nathan Drake. He's got his blessing. So, but sometimes that could always just be PR talk too. So
right.
but Uncharted could be that first one to come out the gate to really maybe not break the curse, but steer it in the right direction to cure it from it.
Man, now this one I don't know how I feel about. I like Uncharted. I don't know how I feel about Tom Holland or Mark Wahlberg, the casting. I got to be honest with you.
No, it's fine.
With Nathan Drake, he has a more rugged, like Indiana Jones style to him, and I don't know if Tom Holland will be able to pull off that kind of more grittier, bare bones, rough and rugged, outback style character, And far as Mark Wahlberg being Sully, Mark Wahlberg is a good actor, but Sully is more of the more cantankerous, more kind of surly type of attitude. Mark Wahlberg usually plays the nice guy. Even in his action movies, he kind of soft spoken and kind of nice disposition. I don't know how well he's going to be able to portray that, but I do have faith in Sony. So I'll keep my fingers crossed and be hopeful, but I don't know how I feel about those two playing, as Sully and Nathan Drake, respectively.
Now, there was, I know you remember, there was I want to say it was a 10 or 15 minutes. I think it was 15 minutes. Yeah, it was a 15-minute short film that was done with about Nathan Drake. That was a short film, and it was so fantastic. And I think what they did, like, I could see them if they want to do an older version, Nathan Drake outside of the younger version. The actor that's on that, he's actually on a show right now called The Rookie, which is on ABC. But they wouldn't need him for long. They can keep bringing him back because the story that they told and the way it was told, whoever wrote that did a fantastic job because I was like totally invested in what they were doing. Now, some of the stunts, you could tell he ain't really got all that. But I think just nailing a lot of the innuendos that he does, like the way he speaks, the way he kind of embodied Nathan Drake really said a lot to me about him playing that role. And a lot of people wanted him to play that role. And I know a lot of you remember the guy who was on Firefly. But I think the issue with him being able to do it now is the fact that he is too old to do it now. I think if they'd have caught up with him probably 10 years earlier, I think he would have been absolutely perfect for this role. I mean, just the way he played it now, even at this age, he just nailed it. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I did watch it. It was very well received. I thought it was good. Like you said, he definitely embodied all of the characteristics of Nathan Drake, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to see. with this new movie. I wanted to see a character that embodied all of the qualities of Nathan Drake. Now, it might be a situation where, you know, it might like a Ben Affleck as Batman, where, you know, we at first didn't think that, you know, that was a good pick, and it ended up being, you know, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But we just have to wait and see. Like, I expected if they had made a Uncharted movie that they would pick him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, though, I think they just waited a little too long, and that's why they didn't go with him. But yeah, for my money, you know, he embodied that role. Everything you think of when you think of Nathan Drake, he definitely did in that short film.
Mm-hmm. And if any of you have not checked out this this Uncharted short film, I definitely highly recommend you check it out. You can find it on YouTube because it's just floating out there in all its HD glory. I'm telling you, it was really, really cool to see.
It really was.
So stepping away from both of those, I do believe, though, before we step away from that, I do want to say that with the Uncharted movie, I know I believe they're in post-production right now. I'm pretty sure they finished it and they're just in post-production. So we could, and my money is betting on this. I'm betting that we see maybe not a full trailer, but maybe a teaser trailer at the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that they were done filming already. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean that's just what I think. I could be wrong. They could be still filming it, but I do believe to kind of build up the hype, I think they're gonna play a trailer at the Super Bowl. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like something that they would do, and it's gonna be a blockbuster too. So yeah, well, they want it to be a blockbuster, as to say. So
right.
Yeah.
All right, but stepping away from that for a moment, there's gonna be a lot of potentials for what the rest of those spots could be. Because you figure, okay, that's a TV show and we got one movie done. So there's still 2 movies and 6 TV shows that still need to be worked on. So where do they go from here? Well, there's a lot of potentials. There's a lot of potentials. I think probably the biggest one would be a God of War. I would totally love to see God of War. And that would be one that I could see as a movie or a TV show. But I think if you do it as a movie, it's got to have the spectacle of like a Marvel's Avengers or like the Avengers Endgame or something like that. Something with massive scale and, you know, with great acting and a really, really just awesome story. But on a TV show side of it, I could totally see it. Like, I think it'll still have great CGI effects, especially the way they do CGI now in TV shows, which is super high quality. But I kind of lean more towards TV show because you can tell the story better versus trying to fit it all in a 2.5 hour movie. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. I think Kratos, the story of Kratos and God of War, it has so many games. It's been going on for so long, and there's so much to the mythos now that yes, there's more than enough there for a TV show. And I think that if you do want to go with a movie, I think that you got to plan on it being something like, something like a trilogy or at least 2 movies or something like that. I don't think that you could really do it justice with just one movie. If you're gonna go all out, I say, do it right. I think that you would have to plan for it being like, 2 or 3 movies. But that would be the blockbuster of all blockbusters. So that'd be Sony's big boy movie.
Yeah. I think that's the one they put that Avengers money into it.
Got to. You have to. That would be the only way that you could do it.
Just because, the character Kratos is fighting different like gods. I mean, it's got to have that massive scale. It's got to have that epic scale to it that'll make people be like, "Oh my God, I cannot wait to see this."
Right. Yeah, you'd have to do him justice. And there's so many different locales. You got he goes down to Hades. He travels up to Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
He goes down to Atlantis. Like you said, he's battling gods. He's battling Cerberus, three-headed dogs, and Hydras and Titans, big old, mountain Titans. So yeah, you'll definitely have to pull out all of the stops if you want to do that justice.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think another one that I think would be an absolute fantastic film for Sony would be Sly Cooper. Now, I did hear rumblings that Sly Cooper might be one of the animated ones that they do, which I'm all for. I think Sly Cooper should be like an animated feature. What do you think of that one?
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about Sly Cooper in a while.
I know it's been a while.
Yeah, I liked the game. I only played the first game, but I really liked it. But and yeah, I think that it does lend itself very well to a animated TV show. So yeah, to me that'd be a very good idea. Along with Ratchet and Clank, you could probably get away. You could probably do Ratchet and Clank as CGI. I think that would be better to do CGI for Ratchet and Clank. But for Sly Cooper animated, it lends itself the style and everything. It lends itself very well to animated.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one for sure. With Sly Cooper, it's funny. I believe there's 3 Sly Cooper games. I'm pretty sure there was 3, but I've only played 2 of them. But I really enjoyed the Sly Cooper games. They were very fun. I liked the different things that you can do to kind of pull off these little heists and things like that. And it's funny because you would think in that terms he'd be a bad guy, but he's a good guy. So
right, like a Robin Hood type of good guy.
And before they put it on all platforms. Crash Bandicoot, I think, would be another awesome animated, just like a short 30-minute, animated TV show. I think that would be kind of cool.
Crash Bandicoot, yeah, it definitely would. I think, haven't they already made a Crash Bandicoot cartoon? I could be wrong.
No, they haven't.
Oh, okay, then yeah, that's a no-brainer. Absolutely, I think that would be, the most kid-friendly one. But Sly Cooper too, but more Crash Bandicoot. That's almost like a Saturday morning to cartoon style.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
if you're looking for just kid friendly, good family programming, I think a Crash Bandicoot animated short cartoon would be perfect.
I think you could plan that out too. If you want to do the animation style, if you want to kind of do it like kind of away from like the gaming style, I would think that if they were going to go animated, I say do it like they did the Star Wars, like the Republic one, Clone Republic or whatever that one was, the animated one that they had.
And was that the most recent one they came out with, or did it come out recently?
Yeah.
Wasn't that did it almost look like a cell shading type of?
Yeah, it kind of looked like that. Yeah. I want to say it was the Clone Wars. I want to say it was Clone Wars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
But I can see that type of animated style for Crash Bandicoot.
See, I'm thinking of the more traditional. I think the more traditional style of animation would fit Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore, though. I don't even know if they
so many different styles now.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be showing telling my age a little bit, but I would want it to be more in the quote unquote air quote traditional style of animation. I think that because it's kind of zany. Yeah. It's kind of, over the top. It's already kind of cartoony as it is, kind of wacky.
I could definitely see it though. It would be a really fun. You could almost play it off kind of like the old Looney Tunes.
Exactly.
As far as like that kind of feel to it, where like it doesn't matter what episode you watch, you're gonna find it funny. So
And see, that's what I was thinking about. That's exactly what I was already was thinking about.
well, there we
That
go.
in that vein.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna think outside the box here for a movie. I think if there's one movie that I don't think would be difficult to do, but I think if you told the right story, you could really make it work. I think Gran Turismo could be one. And here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. So if you take pretty much a lot of the stuff that they did with Ford versus Ferrari, put it in that style, in that vein, using real cars, not using like CG type cars or anything like that. But you take those real cars, put them on real tracks, tell a really good story. I mean, I think you can pull it off really good. Don't like do it like Michael Bay style. Don't do it that way, but definitely more like Ford versus Ferrari. That's how I see it.
So, what do you think about Ford versus Ferrari meets Fast and the Furious? You think that would work, or just
That would be interesting.
keep it more about the driving in the cars and less on the characters?
I think that's a good question, because I want it to be more about the cars than the characters behind it, but those characters you'd want to quote unquote drive as the cars, like be the driving force that makes these cars what they are, like a particular driver driving a particular car. So anytime you see that car, that person's driving that car. I think if you look at it from that vein, you would want to go more character. But I think the world of Gran Turismo is about the cars. So you'd have to come out with some really interesting way to be able to show off the cars. And you could show off concept cars. You could show different types of races that's happening. I don't know, some type of different circuit. But I don't know. It would be hard, but I think if it's done right, I think it could be pulled off very well. It would be a very interesting one.
Are you talking live action, or are you talking more CGI?
Live action.
I think it'd be kind of hard to do a live action movie about Gran Turismo and not really have it focused on the characters, because what you're describing to me, I'm thinking like it'll work more if it was like CGI. Like, I think you could get away with just focusing on the cars and the racing and everything if it was CGI, but I don't know if you'll be able to hold people's attention if it's live action and you just focusing on the racing and the driving. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I think people would probably like go into it thinking Fast and Furious, and they might be upset if they didn't get, some character development.
That's true. I could see that. Yeah. But it's an interesting thought, though.
It is. And like you said, you were thinking outside of the box. So I definitely hear you on that. Plus, I know how much you love Gran Turismo.
I love Gran Turismo.
Anyway.
Y'all just don't know. Gran Turismo, that's my jam right there. I think I've played just about every Gran Turismo game except for the one that came out for the PSP. I think that's the only one that I didn't get to play. But I've played all the rest of them, and I freaking love Gran Turismo. Anyway, what other potential like PlayStation IPs that you could see being a movie?
I was trying to think. I've been actually trying to think this whole time. Twisted Metal, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The Last of Us. And I was also thinking, I can't think of the name of it. But do you remember that game where it was just you? You had like some little helmet with some little horns on it, and you had to save a princess. I think it was on PlayStation 2, and it was just you trying to save the princess against those. You were going against like some shadow type of guys. Do you remember that game?
Oh, you're talking about Shadow of the Colossus.
Am I
You're
talking about Shadow of the Colossus?
Because the little boy wore a helmet that had horns on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that one.
I don't.
And he
I don't
rode a
think it was
horse.
Shadow of the Colossus. I think Shadow of the Colossus came after that. Yes, and he rode a horse. Yes, he rode a horse. But I think that would be a good IP to turn into a movie.
I know which one you're talking about. It might not be Shadow of the Colossus, but I get what you're talking about, and I do agree. I think that game would be absolutely awesome.
You know, and you could have you could do a lot with that, like flesh out that world a little bit, and it'd be more like a fantasy style movie.
Yeah.
You and I were just talking about in general that they don't really do fantasy style movies anymore.
No, they really don't. And that could definitely play into that very well.
Yeah. And I think it's still a market for fantasy movies because the few times that you do get it, like with Lord of the Rings, you know, which probably be the exception, you know, the few times you do get it is well received by the public.
It is. And I think it's right now, like fantasy movies feel like a lost art. You know,
definitely. They definitely do.
Especially ones like during like the time that you would think fantasy movies, like kind of like a Lord of the Rings. So you could go in the realm of like Labyrinth or Never Ending Story, where, you know, if anybody remembers the very first Never Ending Story, does that, I mean, to you, Cedric, did the first Never Ending Story, did it remind you of a Legend of Zelda movie that could have been made?
Yeah, it definitely did. To it. Yeah, all it was missing was Link. Yeah. It had the princess, but all it was missing was a Link style. And I guess the guy, the little boy with the horse, was a Link style. So yeah, it did.
So, but yeah, I could totally see it. I think it would be good. Now, for me, I think another one, especially told the right way, I really do think that Horizon Zero Dawn could be a great TV show or a movie. I like the characters. I like that they kind of combined traditional past type characters with spears and stuff with the futuristic aspect of like the different wildlife and animals and things like that they're all like mechanical and metal and all of that. The whole thing is like fantastic, and the story itself was really, really well done.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Horizons. And yeah, I think that it would be better off as a TV show. If you were going to turn that into a property, I think it would be better suited for a TV show because it's a lot to that. You know, it's an open world. There's a lot of different tribes. It's a lot of mythos and lore to it. So I don't really think that you could pull that off just as a movie. I mean, I guess you could, but I think with all of the different elements of that game, it would serve itself very well as a TV show.
Yeah, there's always certain ones that you kind of think, man, this fits better as a TV show than a movie. You know, if I had to go with another film or another game IP that could potentially be a film, I just don't know. I really don't know. Like Sony has a lot, and
they really do.
And a lot of their first party developers, like they've got some serious hits. A couple of misses, but they've got some serious hits. So, I honestly would love to see Wipeout as a movie. I think that would be that would just be like a fun movie to watch. You know, just because it's futuristic racing, you could almost put it in the sense of like if you took the scene that was in which Star Wars was it? It would be considered episode 1. Yeah, we'll just say episode 1. So, and
Mm-hmm.
just take that whole pod racing scene and replace it with the the futuristic like anti-gravity vehicles that's used in
Mm-hmm.
Wipeout, and then throw in some
Right.
different weapons and stuff on top of it. Man, that would be sweet.
Now, once again, would you think CGI or live action for that?
All right, so that one you can have CGI vehicles, but you could do it with real people. I've
No,
already envisioned that. I think it could work.
I do think it could. I actually do think a Wipeout could work. Again, I think that they would have to do more of the Fast and the Furious
That one definitely
style
Fast and
to it.
Furious style for sure.
Yeah, yeah, but I think that actually could work as a movie. Yeah, yep, that would be a good one. Is Wipeout a PlayStation IP though?
Mm-hmm.
Sony
Yeah.
Sony owns that. Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it's only like a Wipeout has only been on one other console, and that was Wipeout 64. That's the only other Wipeout the only other console that Wipeout has been on, and that was only one game. But all the rest of them came out for PlayStation.
Yeah, okay. I didn't. Excuse me. I didn't realize that. Now, I can't really think of any other Sony properties that they could make into movies. I'm sure that there are a lot. I'm sure that there are a lot that I just can't think of. But just overall, there are some other properties that I think that are just begging to be turned into movies. Like if we broaden it out, like
Oh yeah,
like a. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like a Metroid or like you said, a Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Nintendo has a chance to kind of tap into some of those and really do something with them. But I don't know. Nintendo is just they've been kind of weird lately. But for sure, I would like to see more of those. If I had to step outside the box of PlayStation and had to go like with something that was on Nintendo, but then came on PlayStation, and that's pretty much where I've seen it. I would love to see a Mega Man movie. I think that would be freaking awesome.
They could definitely do Mega Man. I think Metroid is just begging to be made into a movie.
Oh, God, yeah.
But I think that honestly, going all the way back to Mario and the bomb that Mario was, I think that left a bad taste in Nintendo's mouth, and they have refused. I know that there have been some offers to turn their properties into movies since then, but ever since it was hold on just one second, my roommate came in.
Oh.
Evening, good sir. Ever since Mario bombed, I think that they declined to make, to allow any of their properties to become movies.
Yeah,
it's been a long time too since Mario, but
right,
that was the last one to my knowledge.
Yeah, that was a terrible movie.
It really was.
I didn't even see that at the theater. Like I went, I rented it and watched it and thought, man, this is like I liked. Who was it? Was it Bob Hoskins? Yeah,
it was Bob Hoskins. Yep.
Yep. But I liked him as Mario. I think he fit that part. But John Leguizamo as Luigi, that didn't work for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, it didn't work at all.
Brothers, it's almost like they were like adopted brothers or something. I can't run with that.
And the way that they changed King Krupa, the dark feel of it all, how they tried to, just change. They tried to change too much of it. Yeah, it was bad. And from what I hear, behind the scenes, it was just a mess. Like they had problems just all around. They had problems.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they didn't do very good a very good job, you know, researching the source material, because they just was like, oh, Italian plumber, okay, well, we'll just run with that. And that's it. You know, they had all the characters' names and who they were, and that was pretty much about it. Like, even the world itself did not reflect of anything. It was darker. I didn't like that. You know, it was almost like the slums of like New York or something.
Right.
The slums of Detroit is like, what is this? And then the princess was like a freaking hooker. I don't know, man. She dressed like one anyway.
And you got to ask yourself, who was that movie made for? Like, the source material was supposed to be for kids, but it seemed like y'all tried to make it for adults, but you still got Mario and Luigi, so that was never going to work as an adult movie, but you had the darker feel, so it wasn't going to work as a kid's movie. So it's like, who is this for?
The cartoon wasn't bad. The cartoon was pretty good, but that was about
right.
it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. So that's just unfortunate that happened, because, like I said, otherwise, Metroid for me would be a no-brainer.
Yeah, but you guys let us know what you think about what Sony PlayStation is doing, and you know, throw out some ideas of what you think Sony could do as far as like movie or television wise, because they've got 10 IPs in the, like, they're thinking of these ideas. So this is going to be a really interesting ride. They're working on 2 right now, and then I know they're supposed to be working on a 3rd, but I don't know what it is yet. But you know, there's a lot to talk about. I actually wouldn't mind seeing 2. Seeing a Killzone.
Definitely.
I could totally see that one. I had to throw that one in there kind of late, y'all. Sorry, but I just thought of that one. Like, Killzone would be awesome, because I think that's got a strong enough story that you could kind of build off of, and almost kind of treat it almost like a Band of Brothers kind of movie, just real raw and gritty, and you know, like a dark future. I could totally see that.
Yeah, I agree. Like maybe even like a Vietnam style of movie. Yeah, I think that'd be really good. I agree with you.
Like some real futuristic guerrilla warfare.
yeah, agreed. I agree. I think that would be a really good movie.
But anyway, you guys let us know what you guys think in the comments below. You know, tell us what movies you could potentially see coming out of Sony Productions that, you know, that might catch your attention a little bit. But that's pretty much all I've got here today. I want to thank my very best friend, Cedric Roney, for joining me here today, sir. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and did you want to plug anything else while you're on here? Like,
nope, I don't have
anything like that.
Nope, I don't have my own show or anything, not yet. So I don't have anything else to plug.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. And again, make sure if you like what you heard here today, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel here on Platform Gamer Podcast. Please subscribe. Turn on that bell for our notifications and smash that like button, because you know that like button, when you smash that, for every time you hit that, it builds it up more, so it gets out, so more people can check out the podcast. And again, make sure you check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Platform Gamer P1. That's the number 1, not spelled out. And go on our Facebook page and like and follow us there as well. And you can listen to this podcast and all of our past podcasts, which this one I'll upload later today or later tonight. It will be on Podbean and Spotify. So if you're on either one of those, you can get us in our audio form. I'm still working on a 3rd audio format in which you guys can search for us on, in case you want to do anything like that, you know, listen to us if you don't prefer either one of those. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me, and my best friend Cedric. We'll see you all next time. Have a good night.
Everybody have